Throughout music history, several albums have not only defined eras, but also breathed new life into the artist's career. In this video, we'll look at 10 albums that revived careers. 1000 Forms of Fear by Sia. Before 1000 Forms of Fear, Sia was primarily known as a songwriter for artists like Beyonce and Rihanna, crafting global hits like Diamonds. She had also released solo albums, but none had brought her widespread success, with her 2010 album We Are Born becoming her biggest, peaking at number 2 in Australia, but not making a real dent in the US. Behind the scenes, she struggled with addiction and mental health issues, even contemplating retirement from music. However, 1000 Forms of Fear changed everything. The lead single Chandelier became a pop anthem, mainly because of Sia's powerhouse vocals over that EDM beat. Its accompanying music video featuring Maddie Ziegler became a cultural phenomenon. The album topped charts worldwide, debuting at number 1 on the Billboard 200, proving that Sia could thrive as a performer, not just a behind-the-scenes songwriter. The album has now been certified 2 times platinum in the US, as it redefined her career and laid the foundation for her continued success as a solo artist. Purpose by Justin Bieber. By the mid-2010s, Justin Bieber's career was at a low point, following a string of public controversies, including legal troubles, arrests, and backlash for his reckless behavior. His image was in serious trouble. Purpose became his redemption. With hits like What Do You Mean, Sorry, and Love Yourself, the album became a huge success. His tropical house production and deeply personal lyrics resonated with both longtime fans and a broader audience. Purpose not only debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 649,000 units in the first week, it became the largest week of his career, which showed he was back to his best. The album's success marked his return as a global superstar, bigger than ever. The Emancipation of Mimi by Mariah Carey. Mariah Carey faced significant career struggles in the early 2000s, following the commercial failure of Glitter. In a public breakdown, many critics and fans doubted her ability to make a comeback. Enter The Emancipation of Mimi. The album returned Mariah to her R&B roots, while incorporating fresh production and collaborations with hitmakers like Jermaine Dupri and the Neptunes. The album's standout track, We Belong Together, became one of her biggest hits ever, topping the Billboard Hot 100 for 14 weeks and ending the decade as the biggest song of the 2000s. The album debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 404,000 units in the first week, which became her biggest opening week in a decade. The Emancipation of Mimi won multiple awards, including 3 Grammys, and is considered one of the best comeback albums in music history. Its success gave Mariah a second wind, cementing her status as a true pop legend. Fever by Kylie Minogue. Kylie Minogue's career had slowed down significantly by the late 1990s, though she was still beloved in her native Australia and parts of Europe. Her US success had largely faded. Fever was led by the infectious single Can't Get You Out of My Head, which marked her triumphant return to the global stage. The album blended disco, dance pop, and electronic influences, creating a sound that felt fresh, yet accessible. Can't Get You Out of My Head became an international phenomenon, reaching number 1 in over 40 countries and marking her re-entry into the US top 10, peaking at number 7. The album sold over 115,000 copies in the first week and debuted at number 3 on the Billboard 200, which is still her highest peak in the US. The success of Fever revitalized Kylie's career, positioning her as an icon of the early 2000s, proving her ability to adapt to evolving music trends. Recovery by Eminem. Eminem's career had reached a crossroads after the release of Relapse in 2009, which received mixed reviews. His struggles with addiction and personal issues had taken a toll, leading many to wonder if his best days were behind him. Recovery became a fitting title for the album that not only told the story of his journey back to health, but also marked a return to form musically. The album's hits, including Not Afraid and Love the Way You Lie featuring Rihanna, totally dominated the charts. Recovery debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200, with 741,000 copies sold in its first week. It also won the Grammy for Best Rap Album the next year. The album's success solidified Eminem's status as one of the greatest rappers of all time, proving he could overcome personal challenges and still dominate the charts. Brat by Charli XCX. Charli XCX was an early 2010s breakout star with hits like Boom Clap and features on major songs like Fancy and Icona Pop's I Love It. However, after a string of critically acclaimed but niche projects, her mainstream appeal seemed to be decreasing. Critics loved her work, but it didn't translate to commercial success. Charli herself expressed frustrations about being pigeonholed into the hyperpop scene, feeling she wasn't reaching her full potential in the industry. With Brat, she embraced a more early 2000s nostalgic sound while maintaining her experimental edge. The album debuted on number 3 on the Billboard 200, selling 77,000 units in the first week. It became the most talked about album of 2024, only increasing in popularity because of the effective marketing strategy, as it has now accumulated close to 1 million units just in the US since it came out. It is also one of the most critically acclaimed albums of the year, scoring 95 out of 100 on Metacritic. Brat totally revitalized Charli XCX's career, making her a certified pop icon. Breakthrough by Mary J. Blige. Mary J. Blige, the queen of hip-hop soul, ruled the 1990s with albums like My Life and Share My World. But by the early 2000s, her career faced a downturn. 2003's Love and Life underperformed both critically and commercially, with many feeling her sound as stagnated. Meanwhile, she was dealing with personal struggles, including issues with addiction, which further affected her mental health. The breakthrough marked a triumphant return from Mary J., led by the smash hit Be Without You. The album showcased her raw emotional power and vocal depth. She blended modern R&B with her signature soul sound, creating a deeply personal and relatable body of work. The album debuted on number 1 on the Billboard 200, selling 727,000 copies in the first week. It also earned 9 Grammy nominations, including a win for Best R&B Album. The breakthrough marked a comeback to one of the legends of R&B and remains one of Mary J's most celebrated works. F1 Trillion by Post Malone. By the early 2020s, Post Malone's career was at a crossroads. While he remained a chart-topping artist with massive hits like Circles and Sunflower, there was a growing criticism about his creative stagnation. His 2022 album 12 Carat Toothache received mixed reviews, with some calling it uninspired. Then his 2023 album Austin marked a major pivot, but it didn't really do well on the charts or spawn any huge hits. Then came F1 Trillion in August 2024, preceded by the number 1 single I Had Some Help, featuring Morgan Wallen. The album was a return to form for Posty when it came to chart performance. The album debuted on number 1 on the Billboard 200, earning 250,000 album equivalent units in the first week. It is a full country album, fully doubling down on the sounds he dabbled in his previous albums. The album cemented Posty as a versatile chart topper, as he is now considered as a serious country superstar. I Look to You by Whitney Houston. Once regarded as one of the greatest vocalists of all time, Whitney's career was riddled with personal struggles, including a tumultuous marriage to Bobby Brown and substance abuse issues. After her 2002 album Just Whitney underperformed, she largely disappeared from the spotlight. By the mid-2000s, she was considered a tragic figure rather than the musical icon she was. 2009's I Look to You was a deeply personal and spiritual album that marked her return to music. While her voice had changed due to years of strain, the album's emotional resonance was undeniable. The title track and $1 Million Bill were standout songs from the album. It debuted on number 1 on the Billboard 200 with first week sales of 305,000 copies, making it her first chart topper in 16 years. While not as commercially dominant as her earlier work, I Look to You reminded the world of Whitney's immense talent and revived her career. It was bittersweet though, as it became her final studio album before her tragic passing in 2012. Plastic Hearts by Miley Cyrus. Miley Cyrus was one of the most talked about artists of the 2010s, but her career hit a rocky patch after the underwhelming performance of her 2017 album Younger Now. The album's country pop sound failed to resonate with fans, and Miley struggled to find her artistic direction after her controversial Bangers era. Plastic Hearts was a hard pivot to rock and glam rock influences, showcasing her raspy vocals and edgy persona. Singles like Midnight Sky became huge hits and also earned critical acclaim. The album debuted on number 2 on the Billboard 200, selling 60,000 units in the first week, proving that Miley could reinvent herself yet again. The album solidified her reputation as a musical chameleon, and it reintroduced her as a force to be reckoned with, proving that a rock-inspired pop sound could work in this era. It set the stage for Miley's career revival. Which albums that revived careers did I miss? Tell me in the comments below.